You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Welcome, everybody, to We Have Issues, Geek Elite Media show that's about everything literary. Books, comic books, webcomics, manga, and everything else you might be reading. We're here to talk about it. As always, I'm your host, Keith, and I'm joined by my stalwart sidekick, who's always at my side, Josue.
I'm so fucking excited to just dish out my comics this week, because, again, it was another big one. Because I just want to get toasty, listen to the new Gojira album, and play Pokemon Snap. I know it is a comics and reading podcast, but goddammit, I've been excited for all of those other things too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're nerds.
Yeah, no, we're nerds.
I'm excited about Pokemon Snap too. I'm going to buy it tomorrow.
Nice.
So as you guys know, we're here to talk about the newest week release of comic books. And we're going to get straight into it. This week is unique. Josue actually has more books than I do, which doesn't always happen.
Oh, damn.
So we're going to get straight into that. However, Josue, do you have any comic book news? Anything you think on the top of your head?
Top of my head, I have to start jotting these down as soon as they come out, just in case when you ask me every week. Nothing that I can think of.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean,
my brain has just been mush because I've just been watching fucking Mortal Kombat over and over. So I can't think of any nerd comic news.
Yeah, I can't really think of much. Yeah, I think we're good. The only thing is we know that DC's Fandom is coming back in October. They just announced that.
Oh, cool. Damn, October?
Yeah, but, I mean, the last one was kind of...
Yeah, so I'm saying, they really don't have anything prepared for even Comic-Con then. Yeah,
exactly. Well, Comic-Con's not till November, so...
Oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't think I really have much of anything, so... Awesome. Well, we'll go straight into our comics then. As always, you guys know at this point that we don't start with a bang. We start with a boom. And we're going to start with Boom Studios. We only have one Boom book this week.
But it's arguably their best one.
It is it's probably their best book. I will actually give you guys a quick preview. I'm going to currently start writing a series for the Geek Elite Media website called Why You Should Be Reading.
That's fucking good.
Where I'll write a summary of ongoing comic books and explain exactly why you should be reading them.
I like that.
And my first one is Once and Future.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah, so... And it's very complimentary of the colorist. So let's talk about that colorist.
Yeah.
Creative team. For Once and Future, number 18. Kieran Gillen writing. Dan Mora drawing. Tamara Bone villain coloring. And Ed Dukeshire lettering. Okay. This is when this series takes a turn.
How many?
18 issues have built up to this twist.
Yeah.
And the world is very different now. You guys might know this as the modern Arthurian legend. Duncan and his grandmother and his girlfriend, quote, they're kind of complicated.
Love interest.
Love interest, yeah. They're going around, they're stopping monsters, they're trying to keep it all secret. And the public can't know because there'll be panic and all this stuff, right? Well... They're able to stop Galahad, who was trying to steal the Grail and take it to Arthur, and Arthur's slowly withering away, and he's just like, this is my end, and the whole thing is like, yeah, he'll come back one day, but he's done, and we're like, oh, this is going to be the end of the arc. And then, the greatest villain in the entire world, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, who is only seen in shadow, but you know what? It's Boris fucking Johnson.
It's better that way, too.
It's so much better.
There's no color in all of her palette. Could Tamara actually capture just that fucking ugliness on there? So it's better to just be left in the shadows.
So he's the prime minister in this world, too. Or someone who looks like Boris Johnson.
I don't want to be... similar position.
Yeah, who has a very similar profile. I would say an identical profile. Because this shot right here,
oh yeah,
that's Boris fucking Johnson.
Oh, totally.
Like, no one else has that hair. Anyways, basically, he decides that the public should know about the magical beans because he's a fucking dumbass. And he only wants to do it. And by that, I mean the fictional man. I'm not criticizing. Yes, I am. Because basically he wants to be Churchill. He wants to be remembered like Churchill, which is a really selfish, ignorant, and in-character thing for Boris Johnson to do. So he's like, hey, America, or hey, England, magic's real. Shit's bad. And anyone who knows anything about British magic belief and everything, it's all based on belief. And as soon as he tells everybody that shit's real, well, everybody starts believing it. And suddenly Arthur gets a second fucking win. Because now people believe he's real. Thanks, Boris. So, oh God, I'm just going to shit on Boris Johnson for 15 minutes. So, he's all powerful now. And then Arthur he has the greatest face turn, which if you don't listen to wrestling or watch wrestling, you don't know what a face turn is. It means he turns into a good guy. He had the best face turn in history when he teleports immediately to Boris Johnson, I'm putting quotes around him, and proceeds to rip his head off on national television. So now our new hero is King Arthur. So that's cool. So, am I being too political? I don't know.
No, you're perfect. You're fine. This book is incredible.
Yeah. So now, basically, the public knows about it, and all this shit's going to be more powerful because the public believes in it. And we're left with one final page reveal of all these crazy monsters stomping around the countryside.
It's so crazy.
And it's become such a bigger story now.
Yeah.
It's not just about them, it's about everything.
They even reference the year and a day challenge that's still probably going to happen. I mean, I fucking want the series to like go for that long where we do get to come back to the Green Knight or to that challenge. But yeah, was not expecting to just end up now in this setting. Like, what? I had a lot of what the fuck moments this week in comics, and this was for sure one of them.
Yeah, it's like it's the apocalypse. Like, it's the event that everybody always says post-apocalyptic. This is what made it post-apocalyptic. So it's just it's a complete genre change almost. You know, like it's just incredible. Like it's still done perfectly,
but really cool. Again, like the whole like it was like Merlin's contingency plan. That's how it worked in the end. It's like fuck. Again, for sure, I'm glad they're gonna make this one the first one. This one should be the one that everybody should be reading. Definitely.
So check that one out. It's at issue 18, which means it's perfectly set up for that third trade.
Yeah. Or if anything, also probably one of those like those thick hardcovers that also go like boof. So you get like those bigger panels. Oh my god, and bigger fucking Tamara Bonvillain and Dan Mora panels. So I probably want that one too.
So this is a great time to jump in and read my article. So moving on, we're going to switch publishers to Black Mask.
Yes.
We have really been enjoying Black Mask's work lately, and I'm very excited. So we're going to talk this week about Destiny New York #2. I want to go ahead and address that we do know that this book is very well into its story in graphic novel form.
Yeah.
And we are tempted, okay?
So tempted.
But I'm really enjoying the floppy issues. And I want to continue buying them. So we're not going to jump ahead. I might, honestly, if there's a really good Amazon sale. But
if we get to a fucking turn where I can't wait a month for the next one, or if it's it's done, so I don't think they'll take that month break to end up doing it since it already is done. But if we get a cliffhanger or a drop where I just can't wait, then just might. I just might.
Yeah. And as we talk about this, we're going to talk about the creative team, of course. Yes. And written by Pat Shand, illustrated by Manuel Pretano, lettered by Jim Campbell. And we did want to quickly draw attention to, you guys know we're really big on Kickstarters. This is not going to be our Kickstarter for the month, as we always do. But I believe both me and Josue have Kickstarted another one of Pat Shand's projects that we wanted to talk about real quick, which is called Smoke Weed, See the Future,
Dude,
which
yes.
is apparently a spin-off of Destiny New York, which means because she actually apparently originally appears in Destiny New York.
Yeah.
So that means I can't read this comic we get until we get to that part in Destiny New York, which is another reason I want to get the graphic novels. So.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So.
Damn it.
but check out that Kickstarter. It looks awesome.
I want that pin so bad.
Yeah.
Smoke weed, read comics. I need it.
Yeah. So, anyways, Destiny New York. Let's focus on this.
Yeah.
You guys might remember this as the book that caught me off guard. It basically made me an immediate fan of it. It's about a girl who goes to a school for magical kids that are destined to fulfill prophecies. And suddenly she fulfills her prophecy very early in her life. And the whole thing is, what do you do in a world that tells you you're already done? And that's a really deep, dark kind of like thought. Even if you take the magic out of it, like a lot of us can probably feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, so it's really interesting. And it's obviously a really heavily LGBT friendly book.
Yeah.
Which is always a plus with us. So, Josue, what did you think of issue 2?
There's just, again, like so much more to love about this book. Again, it caught me off guard too. It was one I was going to pass last time just because, like, it's whatever. I'll just need number 1. But then the cover was very vibrant, and I pick it up, and it's a black and white gray book, and it's like, holy shit! There's so much more to this. And now we just get to dive in one of the characters, and like, I love the web of cast here. Just like how like the friend who goes and visits the love interest, and so I was just going through the text, and it's like, yo, you're not supposed to be there. There's that other prophecy or the vision, that oracle vision that she's like the bad guy, or like I forget what the actual wording was. So that was a really cool play because it's like there's no punching, no going through walls. Like, even though there is a bunch of magic stuff that's happening, it seems like people are powerful, but it's really just so down to earth. And we get the diner scene with the exes, and
oh my god,
how well that played out.
I was so outraged,
dude. Right? I was like, "Are you?"
I got so angry on her behalf. I was like, "You fucking bitch!" Like, I was just so annoyed. Like I'm really attached to this character already, and I was kind of like, "Oh God, what's she gonna tell her? Is she gonna try to get her back? Is she gonna tell her I don't really love him?" Or
right?
No, she's just a fucking bitch. And I'm like, oh, we're not gonna spoil it because it's a fucking great moment.
It's really cool.
It'll emotionally affect you because you'll be like, fucking bitch, I hate her. So,
and then you get aspects. Oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say, I love this book.
I love this book too.
Moment of it. It's one of my favorite books going right now.
I'm saying like, it's so grounded, just down to earth. But then you get, at the very least, a little vision of her prophecy, of the main character's prophecy, of what she had to do, and actually, it looks really cool. It actually would be. I forget what, like, I can't recall what the actual oracle was, or if they even mentioned it, but it's cool how what it ended up being her just pulling a cancerous spore from this other dimension and coming back to ours. Since it's not real here, it has no effect. Just like, that's really fucking cool. So it's cool that we get at least like some of the history instead of just being some ambiguous thing that she already did. We at least get to just like, well, you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's already done, and you know what it was. So, but yeah, no, I just really love this book too. And then the fucking cliffhanger, it's just like, holy shit, that's the path you chose to take. That's, again, it's so interesting. I like it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we're going to talk about a publisher that Josue has a bunch of books for and I have none for. But before we do, I do want to quickly mention that I picked up Rick and Morty Worlds of Part 3, which I wasn't able to pick up when it was new. And it's really, really good. We just interviewed Tony Fleeks, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned it too, because it's the one with the slut dragons. And it comes to an amazing... Well, I don't want to use the word climax or anything, but with the slut dragons get it sex, yeah. Anyways, but it's also he's not laughing at all, man. Sell it a little bit, shit. But it's really, really, really good. And I will just say this: imagine if you had to watch your grandpa have sex for hours.
No.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. So
no.
It's really, really well done. So yeah, I wanted to mention that. So, all right, Josue, we're going to talk about Source Point Press. And I want you to start with Dead End Kids number 4.
Dead End Kids 2, The Suburban Job. Number 4, The Finale. Oh, boy. It is a very Frank Gogol book, and it was just as dark as I was going to assume, and sad as I was going to assume it was going to be. I don't know if like the Guido dude is kind of a self-insert. There's like a really so where we last left off is like the kids that stole the money from the gangsters, and they kind of got caught at the end when they wanted to give the money back, but they didn't want to get caught or just admit to it. They're just going to drop off the money, but being there, it took so long to get inside. The bad guy shows up, and then just to escape becomes this whole clusterfuck of a fight. At the end, like you think the guy is going to die because like the one guy and two girls is like the clique that we're following. And at the end, you get the impression like, oh shit, he's the one that's going to go. Like he's had this whole thing, like the whole reason why this kind of started or why it kind of was alluded towards them is because he was the one that took a loan out from the gangster dude to pay for his sister's funeral, to which she because she served, so she at least wanted to give some respects to her. And it just seemed like he was going to take the sacrifice for the team, and then the bad guy just was able to get the fucking knife from our guy. And then the emo girl dives in, and she takes the knife. And then you take a blank page, and it's called Scraps 2. But there are next chapters, and you turn over, and it becomes like a montage of different pictures. The three of them did survive. She got to live through the stab wound. We get to see like the other times, and the reason why I say it's a self-insert because we know he's from like the East Coast, but you see like there's like the grief book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a book signing, not really like that he's reading it. So I'm wondering if that's actually him, like in a way. Unless this is more like I'm just gonna put my book in this book, so that'd be pretty cool too. Then you going through the pictures, and the guy ends up following his sister's footsteps and ends up enlisting and serving. And then you get like letters, and then there's like an obituary, and he didn't come back, and it's like, oh. Well, there it is. There's a fucking sadness that Frank Vogel was going to get me with, but yeah, at least there's like a nice piece at the end with the two friends. One of them got pregnant, and the emo girl who really was trying to be alone and go her own way and not do anything with her life decided to get into being an EMT. So I guess you get that bit, and then at the end, then epilogue shows up, and we're left with Murphy, who's from the first book.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, to be continued in Dead End Kids Volume 3, so I'll be on the lookout for that.
Nice. Cool. Let's do Cult of Dracula 2.
Cult of Dracula number 2. This silly... Oh, wait. Dead End Kids 2 wasn't just Frank Vogel, by the way.
Oh, yeah, you didn't do the picture.
It was also art and color by Nenad Ski. It's every time. I need to get a right way to say his name for number 3. Speedy Cannon. And lettering by Sean Reinhardt, and yeah, the covers are by Chris Mad. So, nice. Cult of Dracula number 2. This one is by Rich Davis, is a writer-creator. Henry Martinez is pencils and inks. Colors by Trevor Richardson, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. The modern retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula. The weird ass dude that we met at the end of the first issue wasn't Dracula, but it's the crazy coot that John Watts plays, the doctor guy. He's the one that's running the cult here, and kind of like enlisting people to kind of be able to join, and the priest gets to choose who gets to go in. We get to see the 3 wives, and shit starts going. And by that I mean we get the Lucy and Arthur, just they aren't meshing because he wants to leave. Lucy wants to stay because she's already had a taste of the good blood, and oh boy, is it the good blood. We get to see a blood ritual, a very, very cool one.
You're talking about Renfield, the dude.
Yes.
Okay, it's Renfield. I was like, the doctor. I was trying to remember a doctor. Okay, yeah, Renfield. He's like companion dude.
Yeah,
like
I just call him the John Watts character because John Watts.
I was like, what? Okay. Yeah.
So we get more bits with him and how he's running the cult just before we actually get to meet Dracula. But we get this blood ritual where it's just like this person in the center and would be in charge, and I guess is in charge. So is this a gender swap Dracula? Because I'm all about it now. And at the end, like you get Lucy going full on into her, like going into her ritual with him, almost like joining them. And at the end, she thinks that's what she sees her mom, but it's just like this beautiful, like fairy demon. It's just so dope. So that's where we're in this one. Lucy's still hallucinating, and it's just stupid fun. Like Cult of Dracula, nice. It's just great.
Nice. Damn Cursed Children number 4.
Damn Cursed Children number 4 just elevates. Written by Howard Wong and Josh Stafford, art by Robert Simon Ng, and lettered by Howard Wong. Man, I in the beginning it just seemed like they were kind of going in and around it, and then Howard let us know that maybe they're not zombies. We still don't have that answer yet, but that putting those two together, I thought they were it was just like the outbreak with the kids turning into bloodthirsty, just cannibals. I thought they were just gonna go like kind of take like the Bethesda way, and not you can do anything you want, you just can't shoot kids. Fuck no, they're letting loose, and this issue lets loose, and so many kids just like start biting the dust. Because yeah, these kids are also brutal as fuck. When we get back to like with the adult and the janitor who is the veteran, lets us know that his only thing is like he just wants to get his daughter. Like she shouldn't be turning because she's only a teenager, and it's only been like just infants and kids. And then we have the one guy who really had like a not good time in the last issue where he had to just like kill off his family, and now he's kind of like just super jumpy, and he's just like saying like we should get the fuck out of here. And he's like, no, it's just wait. They kind of get some bits with the news, but the power ends up cutting out. The daughter ends up making it home, but as soon as she opens the door, jumpy guy that killed his family shoots at her, doesn't kill her, ends at the door. So we're just like, our veteran guy just punches him square in the face and like, yo, you're fucking out. Like, you're out of here. It takes like a really like cool just like approach on like, we need to set boundaries on like what this group's going to be about. And the dude tries to say he's sorry, but it's like, there's no sorry from that. You shot at my daughter, so no. So he's like, I'm not a monster. Anyone would have done the same. And as he's stepping out, he looks over because he hears a vroom vroom, and he sees a car coming at him at full speed, and inside is just a bunch of dead kids just going, fuck yeah! Run his ass over. So that's when like a veteran with a janitor, that's when he goes back and he's like, oh fuck no. There's a pickup truck in the garage. He goes into his basement, and that's when he comes out in his full veteran gear, and just it's about to get all guns blazing. And I just love this book so much. I love that it's just kids. It's kids we get to take it out on. And that's so dark, but goddamn it just makes for a great book. So that was Damn Cursed Children number 4. Next one should be the finale.
Nice. And then you got one more. That's number 1. So tell me about it.
I got one more that surprised me because of how kind of outrageous it is. It's called 20 Fists, and it's by Kat Bauman, and colors by Gad Contreras, lettering by DC Hopkins, and written by Frankie White. Oh, the art's by Kat Bauman. That's why I thought the colors. I missed someone. So it's interesting because it's about these two groups of teens, and it's. I guess I just have to compare it with, I guess, like the Warriors. These groups of gangs that just at sight, if shit just doesn't go right, or if they just scowl at each other the wrong way, a fight's gonna break out, and that's just how it is. Like, it's not because like they just. It's just like, this is my turf, this is your turf, even though they do reference it that way, but they're not that kind of gang. It's just like they know each other, they know like of each other as acquaintances, not necessarily as friends from gang to gang, but it's just more of an understanding or an agreement of just that. If we see each other, we just have to fight. And the interesting bit is, well, I mean, it's very LGBT friendly. But while beating the shit out of each other and not really being gay bashing, even though that's kind of what they're doing to each other, is that it starts taking a Romeo and Juliet approach. A girl from one side, it has been seeing a girl from the other side, and they're trying to see if they can, or not the main character, but the one she's seeing, their gang is trying to like not put her in her game, but just being like, well, I guess as long as they don't come over here either. So it's kind of like it's gonna be drama. It's only gonna be 3 issues, a mini. So I'm just gonna see where these kids take it, how far these kids take it.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well that takes us out of Source Point and takes us over to Magma Comics. Josue's got a book from Magma, and I'm curious about this because I couldn't find a copy of it.
Yeah, this is called The Modern Frankenstein. Stories by Paul Cornell, art by Emma Viacelli, color art by Pippa Bowland, and lettering by Simon Bowland. Bowland. By the way, huge shout out and an Omega thank you to Keith for a long time ago. He did send me This Damn Band, written by Paul Cornell. And I wasn't going to dive into a new Paul Cornell book without, at the very least, reading that one, because you did give it to me a long time ago. It is very fucking good. Huge recommendation to anybody who likes the occult, the 70s era rock music, and just comics. It's really, really fucking good.
Yeah, I love that book. It's one of my favorites, and I told Josue there's such great visual storytelling in that
yes.
book. Where not even the dialogue, like I told you, there was one specific page that I won't spoil too much, but where a guy and his wife have a conversation without having a conversation.
Oh yeah, and it happens twice. There's one where they do, and there's one where they don't.
When he shrugs, like, oh my god, that broke my heart. Like, I loved it. Like, so, I actually have a quick story about it. So I went to Phoenix Comic Con. I met Paul Cornell. I told him how much I loved his run on Captain Britain and stuff. And he's like, oh, well, you should talk to Tony. I'm like, who's Tony? He's like, Tony Parker, the artist for my other book. He's like 2 aisles away. I'm like, oh, okay. So I went over there and met him, and he's a really nice guy. And I'm like, he said you guys made a book together. He's like, oh yeah, it's called This Damn Band. And he showed it to me, and I'm like, this is cool. I bought it. That night, I went home, read it, and the next day, I came back to the con, went straight to Tony Parker, and was like, this is incredible. So I was like, I was here yesterday. This book is great. I absolutely love it. Like, I went on a whole rant with him. So, but yeah, I loved it. I knew you'd like it.
It's awesome.
It's demonic supernatural stuff with classic rock band stuff. Like,
if Almost Famous was retold through a horror lens, you get This Damn Band, and it's really good.
Yeah, and I love the one guy. So again, I don't want to spoil too much because everybody should buy it. But I love that they're all tortured by their vice, and the one dude's just kind of likes beer. Like, and they can't really find a vice for the dude. Like, I love that so much.
Again, honestly, I was it Scott Dickinson should redo Almost Famous through his way, because again, it was in Almost Famous the drummer who just didn't have a character, didn't have a personality, was just there. So anyway, Paul Cornell has a new book. It's called The Modern Frankenstein, and this, I want to believe that it could be just a modern descendant of Dr. Victor Frankenstein, because he does go by the name. But in this case, again, it's modern science. So how can we just take this a step forward and bringing it to the now? And so we get to follow, I guess our surrogate character is Cleve. I'm trying to draw her actual last name to call her by her doctor's name. She's like an underling. She's studying under Frankenstein, and he's going through this procedure, very kind of far out, but he still gets it, or at least like he puts another understudy on the spot and just like kind of calls him out for just not being ready or being too nervous to be doing surgery. And then that's what he brings in like our main character, and they start having a bond. And when she starts kind of following Frankenstein, there's a one part where he's going down a hallway, and he goes down he goes through the door, and the security there, and the security is just like being very coy, like it's cool, like you wouldn't know anybody that's in there anyway, to just send her away. But it's like, it's obvious like she's already met Frankenstein, but it's just like it's too classified. We come back home with her, and she's taking care of her mother, who's suffering of Alzheimer's, and she gets a really bad case, brings her to the hospital, and she's really struggling to get admitted. And that's when Frankenstein shows up, and it's like, hey, it's cool, let me take her. Takes her through that room, through that hallway, and even tells her like, hey, do you trust me? Because she wasn't allowed to go in at that point. And when she comes back, she was basically cured. She comes back fine. Like all the scans like seem okay, like seem better than how she was. And the Frankenstein just says, "Hey, but just inject this dose. Injecting this will just like the doses on this bottle, and that's all she has today. And on the 8th day, come to me and tell me the results." So flash forward by then, and it's basically just like, yeah, no, she's cute, she's fine. Like honestly, like I've never seen her like this before. And that's when he invites her over to said creepy hallway into the door into the super hospital lab where this hospital has been like funded, not I guess somewhat by sketchy people, and they've almost have no idea what to do with all this extra money. So they've been secretly just been doing all these weird experiments. What they've been doing is still that's what we're kind of getting into because we kind of get left off on this like on the cliffhanger for the first issue, but it's there. It's like she's been warned to just maybe not get as close to him as she's been leading on because it starts leading into this like sweet bad romance that maybe shouldn't be happening, but I'm into it. So yeah, the modern Frankenstein, just the first issue in.
Nice. And we're going to stick with Josue for Aftershock, Nuclear Family number 3.
Nuclear Family number 3. This one's by Stephanie Phillips, writer. Artist is by Tony Chastain. Colors J.D. Medler, and Troy Pediceri is a letterer. Poor family. poor family that came over from the 50s to the 60s after the bombs dropped. And now they think they're commie spies, and they're being tortured in this facility that's underground. And they don't have answers, but of course they're not going to believe them. So turn on the cold showers. At least the parents, like the kids are fine. They're not going to they haven't messed with them yet. That's kind of like the whole chapter's about. But at the beginning, it's just like also the mom. We don't get to see her being tortured, not that she was, but it's just the dad just running through this cold shower. And it sucks because the dude who's interrogating him is a dude who was his best friend back in 1958, and it's 1968 now. And this dude just, at least it's playing off like he didn't just play that part, or that he also doesn't know him. So he's kind of like, right. Stop messing with me, dude. Like, again, turn on the cold showers. Fuck this dude. He's not giving us answers. So anyway, this whole thing is about the kids, and they're just being held in a room, just being poured out of their mind, and they find their way to escape. And it gets known that they get escaped, so they're trying to avoid a bunch of like the officers who are like in their gas masks and definitely guns. Excuse me. They get stuck in the lab, and a new character pops up. I still don't know how I feel about this guy. He's being like I'm too much of a good guy to be a bad guy. Mm-hmm. Like the Benicio del Toro character that from the movie I don't like. Anyway, he starts helping him out, going in and around through the vents and stuff, and they start hiding through the ventilation shaft when it's pretty much like too much weight for the ventilation shaft, and they fall through a lab. And in this lab, there's a bunch of people just like tied up to a bunch, just standing up, tied up to a bunch of like beds, and they're all very ghoulish, like maybe they've been going through radiation, or I don't want to say zombies, but they look very ghoulish, like maybe they've been brainwashing or testing on these experiments, and maybe these are the people who are in the gas mask suits, because nobody really has revealed themselves as just like, hey, they're over here. But I have a feeling that they're just like kind of working on this like army of just like ghoulish zombies. And yeah, poor family. They really have no idea what the fuck's going on. I mean, like, when you're reading it, you're just as lost as they are, and it's just not fair when you're innocent. But they're not going to believe that because that's exactly what a spy would say, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been having fun with Nuclear Family. Again, the one that's just been getting better every issue.
Nice. All right, well, we're going to stick with Josue. Like I said, it is a Josue heavy week. We're going to go switch over to Image. And Image Comics, we have a couple. Josue has a few of his own. Let's start with the book of the year last year, Bitterroot, number 12. Bitterroot number 12 is amazing. Legacy Part 2. This one's by the awesome David F. Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green. Other creators, color artist is Sophie Dodson, and lettering by Hassan Otsmane Elau. Yeah. Oh, man.
This book was good. Again, like a book where you're just like, you're just getting everything you're not expecting because you're just like, you think you know the characters, you think you know the badass characters. Like Uncle Ford. Uncle Ford, the one that said, like, screwed the potions, like doing all the root potions to the Janu just to turn them back, just so that they can still hate us for our skin color, and they just turn right back into another Janu. No, Janu just have to be exercised in the most permanent way possible, and that was his whole vendetta. And he's just been having such a fucking arc. It's awesome to see him in this issue be the compassionate one, to go back to the White family because there was like the one clans member that started following him around because it inadvertently ended up saving him when he was there for just like to kill all of them. Mm-hmm. So he ended up becoming his little squire. I don't want to say his white slave because that would just be like a whole turn, but he ended up just like my life is in your debt, you know. But in the last battle, he ended up dying, and now he's just back at his family, and they're not all clans members. But in delivering the news, the grandma just turns. She's just angry that her grandson just died. So it's like he has to fight another Janu, and this family just has to suffer for it all over again. But again, coming back to just like his whole character, just like to be there to actually give a shit to just do that, like almost like again, like he owed it back to him. It was just really cool. And then there's a great scene at the end with Ma Etta. Ma Etta is like, it is the matriarch of the family, the head of the house, not the leader, and she makes a whole speech about it, just like she was a head. And this family has never really had a leader. They just looked up to her as one because she was the oldest, and with that title, but it was never that she was the leader. And now it's her turn to actually step down. And now that we've had characters also develop and new people come in and learning the roots, she starts going like, I'm stepping down, I'm choosing who's the next one, and she chooses Blink, and it's just so perfect. Like she's been having this struggling arc as well, where it's just like not knowing her place, but it's just like since she is a woman, she should be in the kitchen and working out the roots while the men go out and fight the Janu. When she's really her whole life, she was the fighter and a much better fighter over Duncan, the one that went over and came back and ended up being and now he is a fighter, but now he's just not all there. Because in the third story is about what's his name? I'm calling him Duncan again, but it's about his dad. And now since he came back, they haven't seen eye to eye because back at Colin. Sorry, goddammit, Colin. Colin was the one that was more scared, and he should have been the one working out the roots. And then he went over to the other dimension. When he came back, time isn't the same, so he came back older, and now he is a fighter. But now he just came back a lot darker. Like he really lost a touch of himself. And over there, he got to bring back his mom, and he left his dad. He had to leave his dad behind, just for his own selfish reasons. And in his own way, he ended up finding the dad found his own portal back. And in doing that, it's more like Cullen is just being like, "Fuck, like don't tell on me." But it's more like you and I are just gonna not gonna talk about it. So they've been having this strange relationship. And so it's just like this family is just, the drama is just so good, and the family, like the book is really cool because the danger is all still there. They still fucking deal with monsters. Adro is still out there building his army. So, but right now it's like the family is just, they're reworking out things, and it's probably for the best. God, I love Bitterroot.
Yeah. What about one of your favorites, Deadly Class?
Deadly fucking Class is back. I had to go back and reread 43 and 44 because this book took almost, like probably by 3 weeks, almost took a year off break, and that was just too damn long.
I was going to say I haven't seen it in forever.
Yeah, it's been the same thing with Saga for longer, and this book just started taking a too long of a hiatus. I was starting to get worried when in the lettering before he was kind of saying like, "Hey, it's wrapping up." I haven't seen anything like since then, but now the book is back and like in the direction of like, since they only showing the cover and then kind of a time skip. I think he just had a new spark, and this book is going to go on for like a little bit longer. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think this or the next one are going to be the last ones. At least if I can hope not the next one. But anyway,
maybe he got annoyed that the show got canceled.
Oh, I mean, there's a part at the end, like once the issue's over, just like a giant letter of like, "Hey, we're back," and there's a part where it's just like I jotted down some of the notes and plan on doing a dive into why I took so much time off, what the cancellation of the show did to me, and how excited I was to be coming back. And it's just like I know that show fucking hurt him a lot because it was just too damn good comparing it to other comic book adaptation shows. It was just like it was a golden egg, and just why the fuck did it have to be in sci-fi? Anyway,
yeah,
Deadly Classic Comic is back, and everything is for the better because this book is just such a downer. It's such a fucking downer, and it's so bleak with how Marcus just talks and goes in through his life and going to his brain. But again, I had to reread. Fucking the last two issues, and so it was. I was happy I was reminded reading those two issues because holy shit, I remembered how dark it felt. I remember how bleak it felt to just like read those last two issues and then be left off at that, and to be left off in a year with that feeling. I only remembered what that feeling was like. So because I like my dark, shitty self, kind of like Marcus, I had to go back and reread him just to know why. And holy fuck, I remembered why. I remember why very, very well why those last two issues were just so dark and just some of the best shit in comics you'll ever read. And now we're back on this time skip. And then where we left off on those last two pages, blam, blam, on a black page. Marcus still doesn't tell you what exactly had happened. We're in this time skip. We're in 1991, which is great because it does a good reference to Nirvana with the title card on like the date with the Nevermind cover. But it's just a Marcus story and how much he just doubled down since then on just being the piece of shit that he is, being the selfish asshole that he is, and he just hasn't recovered from the events of what happened on that night at King's Dominion and that massacre with that cult. Nothing. There's references. There's like little red panels and references of like him running away from people, but it didn't seem like it was a cult again. It was. We're gonna have to wait on exactly what happened and when he's ready to talk about it. But I'm so happy. Like this is what that book is about. It's such a downer fucking book, but it makes me so fucking happy. And yeah, that was Deadly Class. So, moving on. The next one is The Department of Truth. The Department of Truth, number 8, chapter 6. Again, nice. I really like that bit because it's kind of like, oh, you're really going to do that? You're going to off the numbers now as like doing a conspiracy. And it's like, I get it because like the last two issues were like doing those retellings or origin stories. And now we actually get to come back to Cole. And like and following him around from like the first arc. So this is technically chapter 6. So I'll give you that, James Tynion, even though it's just like, God, again, the feels on this book. Like, why do you make me doubt? Why do you make me feel like a conspiracy theorist idiot that just like falls for everything just to turn, not the knife, but you just turn the fucking page to just make me believe these stupid conspiracies just a little bit. But then this whole book is about taking that away, making sure it stays at that, making sure people don't fall for it or believing it too much. But then it's just like, so what the fuck is this department about? Then is it real or not? Then what's the point of being this department if it's not true? And you get that. And if almost like in the other one where too many people maybe start to believe it, maybe it does become real. So that's when we start. We see some reptilian eggs, but again, you just have to read it to believe it. But the real point of this book is about meeting. It's about meeting this obscure guy, Hawk, and that's what he goes by. And we're trying to. He calls it his full name, but it's just a Hawk guy, and he wears a hat that has like an upside down American flag, and he's just like He's kind of an asshole about everything, but it's him who kind of does it. At the very end, like, because there's a prologue at the beginning where he's young and he's talking to Lee Harvey Oswald when he's old enough where people don't really recognize who he is and actually be outside, and he has to meet with this guy.
Right.
And then at the end, Cole Turner, the main guy, gets to meet with him. And here, now you see, that's where he starts going. I just have to quote him because I don't know how big this gets. Now you see this place around you, the impossible nowhere place, some rat fucker pulled out from the weirdest corners of the internet. Where they are now is pretty much a bunker that was, again, almost made up through a conspiracy. For my magic trick, I'm going to make it disappear. Because again, like the way when we get introduced to this guy now, he just finished putting down the ice wall that's at the edge of the flat Earth. That's where I can put it. So again, this book is so ridiculous, but it's just like, what is real and what is not in this book, and what is James really, really trying to tell here? Because again, it's from the mind of somebody's killing children and wind, and now he's telling these really fucking dark stories. Yeah, it's just awesome. I love Department of Truth.
Nice.
Yeah, but there's like so much I could just elaborate on it, but then it's just like, again, you just start sounding like a rambling lunatic. It's better to be read in trades, but if you're following it, you just get lost in the madness.
Nice. And then you had one more an image book by yourself.
Yes, and speaking of getting lost in the madness, wait, I didn't see the full team. I just said James Tynion the fourth, because then this time around, Martin Simmons comes back to do the art, since we're back at the Cole Turner story.
Nice.
Letting still, but did you car? So I need to call out Simmons because the arc is just awesome. It's just really different. So now, the shit that's still super fucking just in full madness is Two Moons, number 3. Writer is John Arcudi. Artist is Valerio Giangiarando. Colors by Bill Crabtree, and lettering by Michael Heisler. Two Moons, the civil story where we follow a Native American who's brought up by a white family, so he's out of touch with his native roots, and all he's been going through now is just the dude just gets caught in like the bad time, like gets caught red-handed in these situations where it's just hard to explain. And again, another one because he's a person of color. Where we last left off, he was being rescued by a renegade of Confederates. Like I was right, and they kind of need him where they need him and he needs them just at least just to make it to the next town because they're the ones supplying the horses. And in this case, he's still following this premonition, this oracle, this path, and he's onto this, and he meets to the second part of that path, and the clue was when corpses start going faster than men. And that's when they get in a blockade of a storm, and the river is just like over flooded, too strong for like to cross by horse, and then just like a trail of just bodies start floating by, and it's like, and that's kind of what it was. Like those bodies were riding faster down the river than they would be getting down that way. So he steps out, and he's been saving this like magic mushroom that this other person with the weird premonition gave him, and he said you have to take it in this part of the path. And so when he does, he starts tripping out, and out of the water comes this ghoulish creature with the horse, this big ass dude. It's just super dark, and he starts giving him information to like the next part of his path. But again, I was not expecting a horror book out of this. I was not expecting getting into this, which is just everything. It was just everything that I just love. Because then this ghoul gives him a gift, a gift to be able to see through, I guess through the looking glass, if you will. He can now see who's posing as a demon here, where before it was just like by unleashing like their inner demon self, like in the first issue where he had to kill his own sergeant, and now he's been on the run because he got caught that way. now it's like this like weird 3-eye like goat demon looking thing. So it's like that's in their group, and then he figures out that Two Moons figures out that he can see him through it. So a fight starts happening, and then at the end, he gets caught. I mean, he's able to defend himself. He gets some of those renegades down. He's able to steal a gun, but those he doesn't. The guy is able to that's like infiltrating the demon guy. He's still hiding. He's still being crazy, and everybody's trying to kind of figure out like, oh, he's being kind of weird. But either they start dying or he's also just not manifesting, so they don't know. And at the end, it's just them two. It's just a go, and the only thing that can kill him is what the thing in the river said to him is an iron blade can actually kill him. So bullets weren't working. There was like a torch that he tried hitting him with, nothing. And at the end, he was just like, "Well, fuck it. I have this Colt, and they're made out of iron. So what if I'm just gonna use it in a bludgeoning way to see if that works?" And in that moment, that's when the Union arrives. That's been looking for him since they killed that one sergeant from the first issue. So it's kind of like, fuck, this Two Moons just can't catch a fucking break. But again, it's just like a story I wasn't expecting to go in this direction. It's like, fuck, it just keeps elevating. Really good.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to give Josue a moment to catch his breath. He's been talking a while. We have some image
comics.
We do have some shared image books, but I'll take the lead real quick. First of all, let's talk about Shadecraft number 2.
Yes.
So this one I'm excited to talk about because the first issue I felt like we didn't get a lot. We liked what we got, but we didn't get a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like it really built well in this one. So written by Joe Henderson, art by Lee Garbett, color by Antonio Fabella, and letter by Simon Boland. So this is the one about the young girl who her brother is in a coma, and then she's suddenly attacked by a bunch of shadows, and her own shadow defends her, and we find out that her shadow is actually her brother. And we get a lot more building in this one. I think it's really cool how we get more of an idea of what's going on. There's something larger than herself going on, which is cool. Yeah. And we get a lot more development with the brother, a lot more interaction between the two of them, where he's following her around. We find out that only she can hear him when he talks. Mm-hmm. But he can manipulate shadows, which is interesting. So that was really cool. She also gets a new guidance counselor who's trying to help her. Mm-hmm. And that kind of ties into what's going to happen next. I really enjoyed this issue. I think this is a very... I don't want to say a very big improvement because there's nothing wrong with the first one.
No.
We just didn't get enough of it.
Yes.
But this is enough to hook me. I really, really enjoyed this. It gave me like Alienated vibes, maybe a little bit of finger guns, things like that, stuff we love. So I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. And obviously there seems to be some kind of a conspiracy going on of some sort.
Yeah, that little hook with the new character was nice to be like, wait, how much bigger is this getting?
Yeah.
No, exactly. I love this book because again, like I love the first issue a lot. Like you're right, there wasn't enough. We wanted more out of it, but the first issue still captivated me like the way Radiant Black should have at least for me in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And now diving into this one, exploring like the family a little bit more. It's like, yes, I don't know what it is that I don't know exactly what it is that I love about this book. I just know that I genuinely just love this book.
Yeah,
it could be her. I love her as a character. I love shadow play. So like could be the powers I'm just gravitated towards. And then just like, yeah, like the way just like the interactions with the people, it's just my kind of book. So I just love it.
Yeah, it's great. And I should mention, I did get Radiant Black 3.
Yes.
And Josue wanted to know my review of it. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like being a writer.
Really?
That's what you're asking. Like, it's just like writing and then self-loathing and starting over. That's basically the process of being a writer. So yeah. And eventually you accomplish something by just being like, I've just got to finish it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I'm just going to finish it. Even if it sucks, I'm going to finish it. So. All right, let's move on.
It was a very different issue. Sorry, because it was a very different issue. It wasn't like the next piece to like the big, like its own superhero aspect. It felt like a very grounded Spidey issue, where like the only superhero thing he did was just carry the family over. But the whole thing was about like his whole writer's block, and it's like I wanted to pick your brain at that part because that was a cool for a third issue. You know, it was actually an interesting take.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, and it reinforces him being the Spider-Man. You know what I mean? We talked about the young hero, and he very much is that for Image. So that's really cool. So next up, crossover number 6.
Oh, fine. Oh, dude, we're gonna get into this now.
Into the first arc.
Now, okay.
We got Donny Cates writing, Jeff Shaw drawing, D. Cunniffe coloring, John J. Hill lettering and designing. We're just gonna go straight into
it. Let's do
it. Okay, so our heroes are trying to get inside the bubble. They finally do. They're finally able to make it inside, and we get a killer 2-page spread.
Dude, for a second, I thought they weren't going to show it. I thought it was going to be the blurred shot with Otto's eyes and cut to going through all the clusterfuck. I was like, I didn't want to turn the page because, like, I'll just make it out right now and see what that looks like. Fucking A, dude.
So here's the thing. I spoiled this for myself a little bit.
Okay.
Because I went back to the credit page because I was trying to take notes before I actually read them. And then it's down at the bottom. It says, "Thank you for letting us play with your toys." And I'm looking at all these and I'm like, oh, God. And then so basically, guys, we have a 2-page spread of a giant battle. And we actually start seeing some identifiable heroes. So like front and center, it's Witchblade versus Savage Dragon, which is awesome. Directly below them, that's Tony Chu from Chu, by the way.
Oh, no shit. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then we get from the top right, because I didn't even see the credits, but is that the Darkness?
Which one?
The dude with like with the mask and like the
left. It's on the left. Yeah, it's Darkness. Yeah,
nice.
And then Battle Pope over there on the right.
And below him is that OG Grifter?
Below Battle Pope?
Yeah.
No, that's not Grifter.
Okay, I thought they would use the OG guy.
That is
because he's got the kind of like the red mask and the eyes like was similar. I was like, fuck it, and the guns.
I actually don't know. It's going to be a Rob Liefeld creation.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the because Bloodstrike. No, Bloodstrike was one of the clawed ones. Prophet, maybe. I can't remember. All of the Rob Liefeld characters from early Image blend together for me, to be honest. But also we get Incorruptible, Max Damage. Like Max Damage and Jailbait are both there, which is great.
The little girl from I Fucking Hate Fairyland.
Yes, which is a great book, by the way. Just a lot of really cool cameos.
It took me a second to understand the black and white characters in the bottom. It's like, oh shit, those are just Walking Dead zombies.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I fucking love that. It's just like it's so much color, it's so vibrant. Like the pixelated thing that they do for comics, and then just black and white people in and around. They're just the zombies. I love it.
Yeah, and then we turn the page and we immediately get Colonel Weird from Black Hammer.
A tomahawk.
Yeah, so great. Just a lot of extra characters.
And then we get the bottom of that page is Lucifer from Wictive, and it's like, yes!
Yeah, Lucy's great. That's not the best one. You know it's not the best one.
she was a prize for me.
But I do love Lucy. So they run into a bunch of zombies, and who shows up to save them? But Hit Girl.
Fucking Hit Girl.
So I'd like to point out that Mark Millar and Kick-Ass, that was actually published through Marvel. So this is our first actual Marvel character.
That's true.
Because it was Icon, I think, was the publisher. It's our first confirmed Marvel character.
Now for sure it's Millar World or whatever off of whatever it is. But no, for sure.
But technicality.
Technicalities, this is for sure the first Marvel character.
Yeah. So basically they managed to get the little girl to the portal and they send her through. And we're like, aw. And then there's a big fight and they're all injured, and Otto is severely injured. And Ellie's down, and snivelly little shit kid, whose name I never remember.
Who cares?
He witnesses Otto die. We're pretty sure he dies.
Yeah.
But who fucking knows in a Donny Cates book? And like, dude, like he's able to save Ellie, so now it's just him and Ellie. And she goes, they're in a hotel, and she's like washing herself off, and she reveals that she's actually one of the invaders as well.
Dude.
She's got the dots, and she has makeup. She had makeup covering it, basically. Also, she was wearing a hair, and she's wearing an Invincible shirt, which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, that was a great twist. I honestly, I had a brief thing where I thought, what if she's one of them and just isn't? I was thinking she just didn't have dots.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean,
but,
it started clicking when she was like just really good at covering the makeup on the little girl, or just like it's not just applying makeup because you know how to play makeup, but it's just like you've been living it. Like God.
And when Valifax worked for her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And not him, right? Because he picked it up, but he didn't get the powers, like as you put it. So, this fucking book is awesome. Like this one really delivered with the characters. We've been anticipating and expecting the big ones, the main ones, but this has been just as good, if not better, to just really call out some of the old people that don't really, the old characters or side characters that don't get some of the appreciation that they deserve.
It's the Image characters.
Yeah.
It's everybody that Image owns, basically. So. Which is cool. They can do that kind of stuff, you know? Like, and honestly, anyone who went into this expecting to see Wolverine fighting Superman, you don't understand what this book is. That's not the purpose of it. Like, they're going to take full advantage of the characters they can, but why in the world would Marvel allow that? You know, why would DC allow that? That doesn't make sense.
But then to use, like, but actual beloved characters, like the guy from Black Hammer, like, what a call out.
I was a big Savage Dragon fan earlier on. I loved Witchblade. Like, this was cool. And obviously Chew. I love Chew. So seeing Tony Chew, who is just a cop for the record. I don't know what he's doing in that fight. Although his power is, of course, if he eats something, he can see the history of it. And I would love to know if he ate a bit of a zombie. So, yeah. But yeah, excellent book. So,
and then there's one more about this whole crossover mindfuck is issue 7. The preview, just keep turning the pages.
Oh yeah. The
written by
Chip Zdarsky thing, yeah.
Written by Chip Zdarsky. He's taking over crossover. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh goddamn, I love
Phil Hester, right? So, yeah, it's great. All right, so we're gonna move on to a new number 1.
Cool.
From Image, Top Cow, and that is Helm Great Castle number 1. Created by Henry Baraja and Brian Valenza. Henry does the story, Brian does the coloring, and the artistry. Ramat does the penciling, and Gabriella does the lettering. Gabriella Downey. Well, I didn't say their last names. My bad. Let me back up. Penciler Ramat M. Hendoko and letterer Gabriella Downey. There we go.
Yeah.
So. This is a fantasy story, and I want to straight up say one of my favorite things is there's a 5th edition D&D compatible adventure in the back of this.
Yeah.
That you can play through, which is fucking awesome.
Which is really cool, because to play as some of these characters...
It's worth the price of admission by itself. So, but beyond that, it's a really great comic, too.
Yeah.
So, it's very much a fantasy book about an adventuring party. And I really like... I like all the characters, basically. And I know Liz is going to absolutely adore this. Basically...
Oh, I would love her take.
Yeah, they're all fighting, and one of their partners is an orc who is critically injured while delivering a dragon child. And so they're like, well, let's go rescue the dragon child and avenge our friend.
And
we need to go south. Right? Yeah. So we need to go south. We'll go south. Okay, cool. So they go south. And they wander into a land called Mexica, but is very clearly pre-colonial Mexico. And they keep talking about how they've gone further south than they've ever been and stuff like that. I'm like, ooh. And then we get all these Aztec references and Aztec gods and
actual Aztec names. Like I believe it's New Tenochtitlan, Mexico.
Yeah.
It has all the CH, like my partner's name, Xochitl. It is with the CHITL at the end, but you don't pronounce the T. And it's so many authentic Aztec names, and it's like there's a lot to appreciate here.
Yeah. So the great thing about this is it literally is traditional fantasy group with a dwarf and an elf and shit running into South American Aztecs.
Yeah.
And that's literally the concept behind it. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. And it's absolutely awesome. I'm really excited to see what it is. I think they're going to... obviously, it teases that they're going to have to team up with some of the Aztecs.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see a little bit of like stuff like that. It's just cool. It's just really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, it's an issue 1, so obviously there's setup. That's going to be a big part of it. But I thought it was really, really done very well. So,
how many books have we had now that they include some sort of tabletop or role playing aspect information to actually do it? It's awesome.
Several.
Yeah, several. It's awesome.
Definitely. So, all right. Now we're moving on to Vault comic books. And we have 2 books for Vault. I want Josue to start with Shadow Service number 7.
Sweet. Shadow Service number 7, written by Kevon Scott. Artist is Corin Howell. Coloring is Triana Farrell. And lettering by Andworld Design. So this one we finally come back to Gina, who was the supposed, not traitor. She was kind of like convinced or manipulated into going to the other side when she was already in with MI666. And now we get kind of a little bit of backstory with her. Stuff from like 10 years ago, kind of moving on to like the present, and how we started developing her witch powers, and how she got to meet her companion at one point, the little rat, and how the rat was the one kind of like showing her how to use the witch powers. Mm-hmm. But again, like the drawback in this world is it's just really cool on how like how it makes you believe why the cliche for witches is like the crazy old the crazy old hag in that hut. It's because in this world, doing witchcraft, doing spells causes you to have chronic insomnia, and when you just do it over and over again, it's just like it makes you go kind of crazy when you just can't take a rest, when all you want to do is just close your eyes and just for like 2 hours, and you just can't. So I really fucking like that part. So following her to the present is just kind of like she's been working with them, and now kind of like in a way trying to infiltrate their side while still trying to like do their bidding. And they make it to this club, but as part of like her backstory, at one point she wasn't getting enough answers, so the critter, the rat, kind of gives her like the idea where like if there was another one, but with your powers that you can probably ask. So she goes to the last witch and resurrects her, and it does not go well because she couldn't control it. And yeah, she brought her back, but the spell was just again too powerful, so it started waking up everybody else, and then she ends up just like doing a badass spell where it just like burns up everybody. It's really fucking dope. And again, big spell. Holy shit. There's a few leftovers, and then she gets like a partner. But anyway, now they're infiltrating this club, and in it, like they throw on these contacts where like to activate, like you blink to activate them, and with them you can see who's really playing like a person and who's like a demon instead.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it's a very dark club. But so they're there to kind of kill off a lady instead of getting information. But the thing we end up finding out is that the real traitor wasn't Gina, but instead how they kept getting found out was the rat, Edwin. But check this out, dude. The thing running the club. Again, this book is...
Oh, that's crazy.
The book is really cool because it's very British setting. Again, like MI666. But god damn, like this is the art just excels with some of the best like monster designs. Like I Walk with Monsters, like it's creepy in its own way, but we don't never get to see like the actual monsters, like or it's like the wolf, or stuff gets distorted like in Luna just to make it creepier, or also like in Department of Truth. But in this one, it's just like it's still very real, so you get to see like the way Guillermo del Toro treats his monsters. I was
going to say like Hellboy.
Yeah, the way those monsters get treated. And it's like these monsters just have the coolest designs. Like it's just like, again, like I'm looking at it now and it's like I'm surprised there's only 7 issues in. I feel like it's going on for like a lot longer. But just because I just like recall like every issue just has such a cool monster. So yeah, I another one that I just love, Shadow Service by Vault.
Nice. And our other Vault book this week is Witchblood number 2.
Yes.
So we're pretty excited to get this one. Created by Matthew Ehrman and Lisa Sturl, color by Gab Contreras, and letter by Jim Campbell. So part 2 of our favorite motorcycle driving witch.
Yes.
She's recovering from her previous encounter with the vampire group, the vampire biker gang, that is. And she finds her way to an herbalist,
Yes.
friend of hers, who helps her recover.
This thing was too fucking cute. The wazoo.
Oh my god, yeah, my heart, dude. Like, it was
the
great.
little mandrakes.
Yeah. So, basically, she's able to recover. Meanwhile, the vampire biker gang, they're on the hunt, and they're out. And then there's a great moment where they play Chattahoochee by Alan Jackson.
Dude, what did you think of that scene?
I loved it. Like, of course I did. I love that song.
Did you get to play the song with it?
I could sing the song. Like, I know that song. Alan Jackson was like my mother's favorite country singer, so I listened to him constantly. So,
yeah. I can imagine how this actually played out, since it's ingrained in there. But if you, I played the song with it, and if you actually just take your time and play out the scene, and take your time to like the 3-minute song, holy shit, does it actually paint out the scene? It's really cool. This is like his go-to. Like, I want to do my speech.
Yeah. I love the fact that after she recovered, she basically she got recovered for free.
Yeah.
And then the girl actually fixed her motorcycle for her too, and she's like, "Oh, Ramblin' Rose," and she's so happy, and she's like, "All right, you're gonna help us take out these vampires?" She's like, "Fuck no, it's not my problem."
I finally get to get back to not giving a shit again.
Yeah. So she goes to leave, but of course, the chick who repaired her bike put a Gaius quest on it, so now it has to be committed to solving the problem. So she's stuck with it.
Love it.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, it's really great. She shows up in time to see them take out a witch.
Yeah.
And it's someone that she should not have been able to take care of that quickly. So it's definitely a major threat. And yeah, it's really cool and interesting. I really liked it. It was a great second issue.
Yeah, no, I got the first 2 issues in advance from Adrian. So I was like, get to have this under my hands again. So I was like making it real again. It's really cool. So the next one for sure now will be for sure surprise. But again, one that a book I for sure love.
Nice.
Thank you, Matthew Ehrman.
Next up, we're going to switch over to our big 2, and we'll start with the distinguished competitor itself, DC. I have several DC books, which is a fucking weird thing for me to say. Not in Future State, but I'm going to pick them up real quick. Josue has 2 with me, so we'll talk about those as well. But I did want to quickly mention I was able to get a second printing of Nightwing 78.
Oh, dude. So you know now why I couldn't talk about that letter.
Yeah, it was fucking sad.
I was not going to ruin any wording, let me paraphrase this. I was not going to ruin that experience for you.
My question is, why does DC know how to write Alfred after he's killed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Between the Jason Todd story and this one, I'm like, you guys learned how to write him finally. So, yeah. Also, when I was telling Liz about it, it was before I knew why Alfred had money. Mm-hmm. And me and Liz were like, that's really stupid. He was a butler. And then they explain it. And yeah, that makes sense. I like it. So, so I'm going to give a quick shout out. I absolutely love it. It's such a good book.
Yes,
so
it
it's
is.
Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And more Barbara, the better. But there's a problem with that, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Ooh, that's right. We're going to talk about it.
We'll start with Detective Comics 1035, though.
Cool.
So, Detective Comics, DC, why do you always put your credits in some weird fucking place? Okay. Detective Comics 1035. I know it's written by Mariko Tamaki. There we go. Drawn by Dan Mora. Colored by Jordi Belair, and letter by Aditya Bidikar. So you might remember me talking about the last one of these where Bruce had to move into like these fancy townhouses with all the other rich people.
Yeah.
And then suddenly one of them's kidnapped, and now shit's real for the rich people.
Oh no!
They find her body.
Oops.
She's killed.
My bad.
In the sewer.
Oh, okay.
And Bruce finds it first and is like trying to like investigate, and then a bunch of cops show up. He tries to run away to get away, not to, have a conflict. but they see him and they open fire,
Ooh.
and one of the bullets bounces off of him, ricochets, and hits a cop.
Ew. Wait, bounces off what? Who's in armor?
It's like his shoulder.
Oh, okay.
It bounces off. It bounces like twice. It's crazy looking. So,
Okay.
but it catches a cop in the shoulder. So technically, a cop is injured in this incident. So Batman gets the hell out. You find out that the girl that died, her family is one of the like biggest, most influential families in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So, which it seems like everybody in Batman is, but whatever. I'm not faulting it. It's cool.
And then Gotham suffers. Like, how many influential people can there be?
Yeah. But basically, they find her dead body and everything's going to hell, and then suddenly there's like a rush to cement up like the area she was found in. So it basically eradicates any evidence Batman can find.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is going along the lines of what we talked about before, where the mayor's trying to justify bringing in the magistrate from Future State.
Mm-hmm.
And so she dies, and Batman's not even able to investigate it, and suddenly all the evidence is gone. So, yeah, it's becoming one of those things. So, but the best part is, the girl who dies, last page, Batman is walking alone at night, and he looks over, and underneath the streetlight is the girl who died.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, looking very much like a zombie. and then the title of the next chapter is "What Died Didn't Stay Dead."
Okay.
So yeah, there's also a backup story in the back for Huntress, which is really, really, really good.
Oh, nice.
That I quite enjoyed. The only difference here is Clayton Henry does the art. Mariko Tamaki still does the writing, coloring, lettering's all the same. So
cool.
Love it. I'm really liking Mariko on Detective Comics. She makes me give a shit about Batman.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah. Next up, speaking of someone who makes me give a shit about something I normally wouldn't care about, Harley Quinn #2.
Oh, yeah.
Stephanie Phillips writing it. Wonderfully, I should
add. It was that one.
Yeah.
Shit. Because I thought there's two, right? There's 2 Harley books now?
There might be, but I'm only getting this one. Riley Rossmo's drawing it. Ivan Placencia is doing the coloring, and Darren Bennett doing the lettering. It's this one, this art style.
Oh, okay, cool. It is still just Stephanie. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So this is the one where she wants to use her ability or her training as a psychiatrist to basically redeem all the clowns, the clown gangsters that are left over from Joker War, which I am so sick of saying Joker War. It's okay. So basically, yeah, she's working with the one clown, and he's really adorable. He's so simple and innocent, and it's really sad. And they also, this is when they announced that Dr. Hugo Strange is brought in, because he's also a psychiatrist, to try to work with the clowns. And she's like, why should I bother? Because he's like, they're putting the money behind him. I don't have any money, all this stuff. And then you find out, you see him, someone brought before Dr. Hugo Strange. He's like, I'm not a clown. He's like, I had a disagreement with my neighbor, and he called and told you guys that I was a clown, but I'm not a clown. Huh. He's like, he basically says that's what a clown would say.
Yeah, that's what a witch would say.
Yeah, exactly. So he puts him through whatever the treatment is, and it's really dark. But Harley basically hangs out with her new sidekick, this dude, and it's absolutely great, and it's a lot of fun. It is building towards a Hugo Strange and Harley Quinn confrontation, which I will be down with. I love that.
Nice.
So. Very good. Continuing to make me care about Harley Quinn. Thank you, Stephanie Phillips. Moving on. I got a #1.
Ooh.
And it's a weird one, and I'm excited. It's Ruby / Justice League #1. So, for those who don't know, Ruby is a American animated show that is made with video game generated animation. So it's really cool. It's really action filled. If you're a fan of really like teen action anime, like your My Heroes and stuff like that, it might be something you really like. The action is really intricate and awesome. So this takes place. It has to be during the first season, or not the first, maybe the second season, because there's a character that loses their arms, and they have their arms. So, but basically, in the world of Ruby, which is the Kingdom of Vale, people have what we call a semblance, which is powers, but they're never like outright superpowers like we have. Like they are, but they're not like, no one's Superman, basically. Yeah. So like Ruby can like teleport around and stuff, and like it's just little stuff like that. So Ruby and her sister are Yang are they go home for the summer, I'm supposing, some kind of vacation, and they're helping their father harvest the crops and stuff. And he's like, "Oh yeah," basically he's like, "I don't need that much help. I've had help since you've been away. Meet my new farmhand, Clark. He's just been super." And I already like this Superman way more than I like any other Superman. So, and he's like, "Hey guys," and they're all meeting him and stuff. And Ruby's like embarrassed around him, and Yang is just basically like, "You want to bang him, don't you?" Basically, like, so she's like, he's like, "Oh wow, you guys are trained to be huntresses," which is like the warriors of this world. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "That's crazy that it's so impressive that you guys are doing that." And then Yang is like, "Maybe after workday's done, Ruby can show you some of her best moves, eh?" And so it just keeps going like that, and he's oblivious to it. So they find out about his semblance, which is as long as he is in the light of the sun, he has certain abilities, but only when he's in the sun. He can't charge for night.
Oh, that's cool. Interesting. Yeah.
So he's
a cool flaw.
Yeah, so he's like strong and he's flying around, which actually would be a really cool thing to do to the real Superman. Mm-hmm. So maybe give him a dark version of himself that only works at night. Oh, just saying. Throw that out there. So, and then, basically they're just hanging out, having fun. Yang keeps basically hinting that Ruby likes him. Also, there is a very strong woman/womanship in the show with Yang, and the writer of this hints at that, and I'm very, very happy about that, because like she's very like they're all just talking, and she's just like, "I wonder what Blake would think of this," which is the girl she's shipped with, and just out of nowhere, who's not even there. So we're all kind of like, yeah. But basically they team up to fight a monster, and they're like, "Wow, you're really useful, Clark." And then they cut away to Blake, the one that they mentioned. She's her race are called Faunus, and they're like half animal. Okay. So she's like half cat girl, and she sees a woman floating in the air who gets attacked by like an evil sea monster, and she ends up saving her. And the woman's like in a white robe, and she's just like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of this." She's like, No, don't worry about it. I'll take care of this one. And bust out her outfit.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a cool one too.
Yeah, I like that they Tina-fied all of them. So yeah, but basically she's able to use her rope to calm the monster. So I think that's part of her powers. So, but yeah, they're slowly across the universe of Ruby introducing different members of the Justice League, and I think they're all going to have to come together in the end, which would be really cool.
That's actually really cool.
There's one main character left they haven't brought in for Ruby, and it's Weiss, which is my favorite character, and I'm curious who she's going to be with, because this is the Batman, if you see him up top there.
Yeah. But
there's also Jade, so...
okay.
Yeah, so I'm curious, but I'm really enjoying it. If you're a fan of Ruby, you'll really, really like it. If you're a fan of Justice League, give it a chance. It's great. So, all right, that takes us to the two that we share. Josue. Obviously, we saved number ones for last, so we're going to start with Teen Titans Academy number 2.
All right.
I will say that, let me pull it up here. Again, why are the credits in weird places in DC books? There we go. Written by Tim Sheridan. Penciled by Rafa Sandoval. Inked by Jordi Tarragona. Colored by Alejandro Sanchez. And lettered by Rob Lay. When we posted our last review of the first issue, we got a very nice response from, I believe it was Tim Sheridan, mentioning that he appreciated the review and that we're going to find out a lot more about one of our favorite characters, Alinta. And boy, did we!
Oh, man.
So I really, really like this character. She wears running blades in that she, is missing the lower half of her legs, but she's a speedster, which is cool as shit.
That's a really cool concept of a character. I really like Alinta in this issue. I like a lot of this character.
Yeah, definitely. And we're building towards her, and then we also have Matt, who is creeping me the fuck out. So,
he's kind of a character, yeah.
But basically, we're dealing with the fallout of the Red X mask being stolen, and Nightwing being like, I don't know what to do about it. So then we see Nightwing, and he's getting out of bed with Starfire.
Yep.
Richard fucking Grayson, don't you use two women that I like more than you, please? Because that would really piss me off. like just stick with Starfire. Leave Barbara alone. She's better than you. She really is.
That much is true.
So yeah, Starfire's fine. You guys are great together. I've always shipped the two of you. Perfect. Done. So, and they actually mention it in the book. Thank God.
Yeah.
And the fact that Starfire is intimidated by Barbara Gordon is bullshit. No, I'm kidding. I could see where she'd be intimidated because Rick. God, I did the DC thing and called him Rick Grayson. You remember that when they changed his name to Rick Grayson briefly?
Yeah.
Worse. Anyways, no, I could see because they came from the same area. Neither of them really have powers. I could see it being like Starfire is the other. Yeah. So I like that. Even though she's a princess, a gorgeous, beautiful princess, she can be intimidated by, his old school friend who he still has feelings for and is very pretty in a very human way. You know what I mean? So it is interesting him torn between those two worlds, I really loved the page where it's Cyborg and Nightwing talking.
Oh, totally.
And just shit's going on in the background. I really, really enjoyed that. And then we run into Red X downloading something from the computer. There's a whole chase scene that was really cool. And Alinta actually ends up helping, which was really dope. And then they're basically talking about what they're going to do with the kids. What are they going to tell them and stuff. And we get more hints of, obviously, the outside forces that are going on. Mm-hmm. But then at the end, we get an appearance by the Suicide Squad.
Yep.
And I'm very curious to see where this is going to go and how this ties into Red X and everything. So
I know.
They better not hurt Alinta because I will be furious. Is all I'll say. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Oh, we also found out that Alinta is Aboriginal Australian, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Is what I gathered. So. She's at least from down under, as they say. So
I did like John just being like, the hose is too long. You're gonna hit and that's when Alinta is able to catch him.
Yeah,
it just would be kind of like dick to just be like, "Yep, I'll use the fucking hose," but it's not really not being that much Batman to perfectly measuring out the rope for it.
Yeah, don't think about it. Just go.
Let's go.
So, really enjoying it. I'm very excited. I love the approach we're getting of basically meeting 2 students a week.
Yeah.
Which I'm really appreciating. That's basically what Strange Academy's doing too. Mm-hmm. And we compare the two a lot, but I'll be honest, it's because we like both of them.
Oh, totally.
And they're both great. So yeah, they're really good mirrors of each other, and I'm really enjoying both. I'm here for the long run for both of them.
Oh, so. Absolutely.
So next up, love this book, Robin #1. I'm a big Damian Wayne fan. So, first of all, written by Joshua Williamson, drawn by Gleb Melnikoff, excuse me. Lettered by Troy Pateri, and that's it. So basically, we got Damian earning basically in a fight, in an underground fight ring, basically. Mm-hmm. And he goes face to face with King Snake, who is actually the father of Bane, by the way.
Yeah.
And basically, King Snake talks a bunch of shit, and then Damian drops him on one shot. And Damian wins, and you find out he was trying to earn a little coin to enter a fighting tournament. And he does. And he's sent over there. Also, Josue, I read this and knew you'd love it if you read it. In the middle of it, he's just randomly reading a manga.
Yep.
And it's like a page of the manga, and he's like I love he's like talking to it. It's like, come on, Hana, you must have a plan.
For a second, I wish they would have done it and reading it manga style.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Oh, I just love it. So they end up going, and also someone's talking to him at this point off screen, and it looks an awfully familiar mustache. And then you find out it's Damian remembering Alfred and arguing with the memory of Alfred, which is really sad. Mm. It's interesting how the Bat family fell apart when Alfred died.
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody's going their own way and stuff, so he was the one that kind of kept them together. So So basically, he's on the boat, and he's on his way to the island, and he gets to the island, and we start to see people we recognize. Ravager's there, aka Rose, who I love. And then someone in Deathstroke's armor names himself Respawn. Lame.
Nice copyright infringement. Such a good line.
Yeah. And then we see Connor Hawk again, just off to the side, being hinted at.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically they're like, okay, well, the tournament's going to begin, so we're going to go eat some food. And then Damien's like, all right, enough of this shit. Who's first? So he's like, I'll fight someone. And they're like, all right, well, let's just get this going, I guess. And he does the whole like extended intro, son of the bats, and and this is great. And up walks Flatline. And they fight, and Flatline reveals that she absorbs the defeats of the greatest fighters to ever die. And so she learns from them, which is kind of cool. I like the concept.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then she punches a hole in Damien's chest and removes his heart.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Now here's the thing. It's called Lazarus Island.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So obviously they're not killing.
And it's a number one. I know, but it was just like, wow, what a first issue to end on.
But yeah, it's great. I can't wait. If we get a full-on tournament. Oh, his suit?
Like, I really like the design of it. It's not just like the classic Robin, like colorful one. Like the only colorful thing is like the yellow on the inside of the cape, but it's more of a hood. Like I love it's like a hood cape. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, if we get a full-on tournament with this, I'll love it. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Like, awesome. So that's my DC books for the week. Now we're going to switch over to Marvel. Josue has one solo Marvel, which is Miles Morales. Tell us about it.
Miles Morales, Spider-Man, big issue, number 25, Legacy 265. Saladin Ahmed as a writer, Carmen Carnero as an artist, David Gurriel, colorist, and Corey Petit as the letterer. Okay, a lot of stuff has been laid out, a lot of stuff has been happening. Let's get into like the next big arc for Miles, because a lot of drama happened. So much stuff that has been able to come out, but of course they save it for the big arc so it can be more drama. Like Genki showing up and just being like, hey, we need to talk. And Miles be like, yeah, we need to talk because shit's happening. Basically, there's another Miles copycat running around doing bad stuff like kidnapping a scientist. But this isn't the stuff that Genki wanted to talk about. So they go upstairs to the room to kind of start kind of prepping for this mission. Because Miles wants to go out and investigate, see what's going on, because they're really tarnishing his name.
Right. And
Genki starts being like the man on the computer and kind of forgetting his phone behind him. He gets a message from Barbara. And he's like, hey, you got a message from her. Because Miles picks up the phone. That's a lot of emoji kisses. And that's what Genki was like, yeah, that's what I want to talk about. But they had the whole symbiote dragon thing happen when he really wasn't going to say it then, like let him know then. But then King in Black happened, and of course, shit happened. And that's when he tells him, like, yeah, Barbara and I are kind of together now. And then Miles just kind of like lets loose. He puts his hand on Genki, like holds him up against the wall, and just like, and Genki's like, get your hands off me. And Miles realized, like, oh, sorry. He doesn't even freak out. He's not blinking. He's not like I'm scared of you. It's like he just straight up just says that to him. And because you realize, like, Miles is going to kill him. But, like, what the fuck is this power play, Like, what the fuck? So, this becomes like, we'll talk about this later. Like, I got to go. Like, and he's just like, yeah, explain to my folks why I left. Since, like, they know he's Spider-Man now anyway. And, yeah, he starts monologuing. I got him out webbing out to figure shit out that, yeah, he and Barbara did break up weeks ago, but it's just like, so he makes it to the science lab where the said scientist was kidnapped, and then the scientists that were left over were like, oh no, not again. Like, we gave you everything you wanted. It's like, yeah, that wasn't me. It's like, sure you're not. When Peter Parker Spider-Man shows up and starts kicking his ass, and it's like, yo, what the fuck? And it's like, hey, Spider-Man, like, I am the real Spider-Man, Miles, like, not Miles, but as you can see, he's talking, as Miles the one that's talking, And Peter's like, yeah, that's exactly what a bad guy would say. It's like, oh my God, do not do this. So yeah, it becomes a few pages of Peter just not really buying it until he has to buy it. And yeah, of course he smiles. So they leave the fucking lab and they start pursuing one of the clones. They get to him, but he's just like blurb. But if you notice his face, it's weird. Yeah. And then he starts becoming this like salmon version of himself, like it's like gloopy, like they can just like embiggen himself.
Oh, salmon the color, not the fish. Okay. I was like, he became a salmon?
Oh, I was like, what? Yeah, Sandman.
Oh, Sandman. I thought you said salmon. I was like, oh, like pink.
No. Okay. He's able to just like embigify himself and just like be more of a blobbish. So anyway, 2-on-1, they're able to like web him up to a wall. But he's still not talking. It's almost like he can't talk. And they get hit with this rainbow gas, and the person gets away. So this one, they're still trying to pursue him when he gets hit with the Spidey sense, but it's just like it's kind of wrong. And then he ends up he's ganged up because him and Peter have split ways, and now we get left off with Miles being left off alone in a rooftop with the 3 other clones. So
nice.
Shit's not good because one of them just doesn't talk. The big one that can just go and big him by himself, and the one that kidnapped the scientist, they only kept referring to him as like the one with blades. He's got these really cool talons with him. These really cool blades.
Oh,
with
nice.
Him. And the other one is just like this. The obvious
monstrosity,
the spider looking one. So yeah, there's that.
There's always one.
There's always one. So yeah, that's the start to Miles's The Clone Saga. Hopefully, it's actually really good. I trust Saladin Ahmed. If it has to happen just because of the Spider-Man thing, fuck it, so be it. But so far, it's off to a good drama-ish start.
Nice. All right, I have several solo Marvels that I'll run through in quick fire succession as much as I can. First of all, MODOK Head Games number 4, final issue. That is.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be a 5 issue. Okay.
No, it's final. Jordan Blum and Patton Oswalt writing. Yes, that Patton Oswalt. Drawn by Scott Hepburn. Colored by Carlos Lopez. Letter by Travis Lanham. So, this whole time, MODOK has been having visions of a family. Like a wife, kids, everything that's been going on. And he's like, I don't know what this is. Is this real? Is this not real? He's trying to figure it out. That's the arc of this. And in the end, he meets with his father, his birth father, who reveals to him that none of that was real. We were just messing with you, basically.
Oh, God.
And they attack him, and he uses super adaptoids to attack him. And in the end, he's able to defeat his father. And he transfers his father's... Okay, I gotta back up, because you'll love this. When they kidnap, or when they capture MODOK, when the father captures him, they take all his personal belongings. And so they're going through a list of them as he's sitting there, like, stunned. And they're like, let me see, where's the list here? 3 vibranium buzzsaws, 2 flamethrowers, 4 PIM particle proxy mines, an antimatter laser cannon, 6 temporal grenades, and they say, and a cell phone? They're like, he's a supercomputer. Why would he ever need a cell phone? And they're like, perhaps a totem to the fictional suburban life he desperately craves. Don't worry. And it's like, we'll take care of it, basically. And then they're torturing him. He's captured and everything like that. And he's just like, they're about to kill him. And MODOK, you see MODOK do the little like digital thing he does whenever he interacts with something.
Uh-huh.
And he's interacting with a cell phone. And he says, during the War of the Realms, I acquired some raw Uru metal.
Oh my God.
The same metal that powers Thor's hammer.
Yes.
Uru is known for being nearly indestructible, incredibly hyperconductive, and its ability to return to whoever wields it, no matter what stands between them. And then you see his cell phone fly across the room and kill everybody in the room.
No shit.
Like Yondu's arrow. And he says, Metal of the Gods? Huh. Barely deserving to be MODOK's cell phone case.
Love it.
So good. And then he downloads his father's consciousness out of his body and puts it in his cell phone.
Uh-huh.
and his father's begging for mercy, and he swipes left. Like, it's just great. So basically, in the end, he's just like, I found out these memories were never real. But he's like, but thanks to my father's machine super adaptoid technology, I can have it all. So he uses the adaptoids to make himself a family.
No, oh my
and
god.
That's what, and that's going to lead directly into the cartoon. So I'm very excited. That's
nice.
So the cartoon is basically him being MODOK, but also dealing with
the
day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Black Widow number 6.
Cool.
This is a one-part story. It's a standalone story, but it's setting up some great shit. Written by Kelly Thompson, who's wonderful. Guest artist is Rafael de la Torre. Coloring by Jordi Belair and lettering by Corey Petit. Basically, Natasha and Yelena Belova have moved to San Francisco and are living together. And they're like the widows, and she's Black Widow. Yelena's now White Widow.
Oh, okay. Instead of Black Widow 2.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they're in 6 days before this. She's in a market where a young girl tries to steal her wallet and is actually really good at it, but she still catches her. And basically, she's like, "I'll give you the wallet back," she basically hunts her down. The girl's like, "I'm not giving it back," and she's like, "Hey, she doesn't steal her wallet. That's right. She prevents her from doing it, but then chases her down. And she's like, I'll give you my wallet in exchange for all the other wallets you have." And the girl's like, fine. So she takes it because she gets the impression that this girl's not working alone. There's someone like ordering her around. And Yelena's like, what the fuck was with that? And she's like, well, there's a tracker in my wallet. So they're 6 days later, she's able to find it almost to like a Judge Dredd like apartment complex.
Oh, okay.
With a whole bunch of floors. And she makes a bit about it where she fights a dude on the first floor. She's like, am I going to have to fight a guy on every floor a video game? Like, so she uses her grapple hook just to skip to the end, which is great. They have this awesome big fight. She takes out a bunch of people. I love this scene because she uses this red smoke for concealment, so the entire background of the entire page is red. That's cool. With all the smoke. So, and it's just her slowly, methodically taking people out. She gets them, and she's like, "This isn't who was in charge, anyways." And then in the end, she's like, "Prepare the spare room. I'm bringing someone home with me." It's the girl. Oh. So the implication they had earlier on is Natasha wanted to train her up and make her a new widow, Yelena did. Sorry. But Natasha's like, we're not making our own red room. She's like, well, it doesn't have to be the red room, basically. So yeah, we might get like a second generation Black Widow character, which would be really cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, so really enjoyed that. I love Kelly Thompson's work. She's just great. So next up, Silk, number 2. Written by Maureen Gu, art Takeshi Miyazawa, coloring Ian Herring, lettering by Ariana Mayer. So this is continuing the same story from the previous one. It's number 2, so I won't get too much into it. But basically, it's Silk working with J. Jonah Jameson's threats and menaces, and at the same time trying to uncover a gang war thing that is somewhat related to her job as well as her personal life. It gets complicated. So, anyways. So she goes to talk to her therapist. Her therapist is the only person who knows who she truly is. Mm-hmm. That she's Silk and everything. And they're like, hey, your therapist is gone. She's taking an indefinite hiatus. Like, we got you a new therapist. And in her head, she's like, am I supposed to talk to people like about this? I can't just keep revealing this. And she's like, I don't know if I can give this person a chance. And the door opens and the guy pops his head out. Ooh. Yeah. And he goes, ooh. Yeah, he's hot for our listeners. He's like, hey, I'm Max. I'm your new therapist. And then she has this fucking look on her face right here. It's so great. And the entire time she's just really trying hard not to flirt directly with him. The entire time they're and she's like, yeah, having a crush on your therapist, that's okay, right? And then we find out at the end, the therapist is actually working with one of the gangs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's sad. That makes me sad. So, but she did not reveal to him that she's Silk. So.
Oh, okay. I still kept. Okay, just hit it.
So she still got that saved. Yeah. So, really good. Last quickfire one. John Walker, U.S. Agent, number 5, final issue. Christopher Priest written, pencil by George Genty, inked by Carl Story, color by Matt Mia, letter by Joe Sabino. this is a really well-timed story because of the things that went on with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, just having ended as this actually kind of planned this one pretty well since comics are like months prior, and like the show is like back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. In the end, basically, there's not a lot to talk about with this, but I have a really cool thing to talk about afterwards. But basically, in the end, he's fighting the new U.S. agent, who is actually pretty much a bad guy.
Oh, there's another U.S. agent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the new governmental approved U.S. agent.
Yeah.
And so the thing with this is that I really enjoyed was John Walker, more so than any major hero I can think of, is really good at getting his ass kicked and walking away. Not even necessarily winning.
Oh, yeah.
But walking away. So they took his shield and gave it to the new U.S. agent. And one of the recurring jokes in this is that his shield keeps breaking because he keeps making his own shields.
Yeah.
So in the end, he just takes the shield from the dude and walks off with it. So he's got a shield back.
It's a real one?
Really cool. It's the real one. Yeah, the U.S. agent one. So,
fuck.
Yeah, so he just takes it back. And there's like a hint that he's going to work with Val Cooper. And he's like, hey, you going to pay me again? She's like, no. And he's like, because I'm more useful when I'm not on the payroll because I can do illegal things. She's like, maybe, basically.
Ooh.
So this is a great story. I loved it. It was fun. But the thing I'm excited about is it says U.S. agent will return in United States of Captain America.
Oh.
I turned the page. This advertisement, I'm going to read it to you.
Yeah.
When his shield is stolen, Steve Rogers teams up with the Captain Americas of the past, Bucky Barnes, Sam Wilson, and John Walker, on a road trip across America to recover it. Throughout the group's journey, they discover everyday people from all walks of life who've taken up the mantle of Captain America to defend their communities. I'm so fucking here for this.
Whoa, okay, that sounds cool. Who's writing it?
There's nothing here yet, but this bit of art they did is Alex Ross.
Oh my god. Okay, I love everybody in their own version of the suits. You got the scaly Steve, the shiny
and then there's
Bucky.
Shiny Bucky. Here's John Walker with his US agent
John
suit.
Walker, and then all new cap with Sam. But Bucky, honestly, I'm a sucker for shiny Bucky cap suit.
It's great. For it. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Like,
the fact that since he wasn't, I mean, he is kind of, but wasn't a full-on super soldier like Steve. They had to make the whole suit bulletproof. That's why it's shiny. God damn it! Get the fuck out of here! It's a good suit.
That's a really cool idea. I'm very excited to see what's coming.
Oh, totally.
And I love the idea that it's a road trip. Like imagining the four of them in a car together, and John Walker trying to conversate with them, and they're just pissing everybody off the entire time. Like, I can't wait. So, which, by the way, we haven't really spoken about Falcon and the Winter Soldier on the show very much.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
For those of you who hate John Walker, you're supposed to.
Yes. I was tweeting about it like when it was happening, like when episode 3, episode 4 was amazing. Jesus Christ, I think episode 4 I think fondly. And it's because Ryan Russell what's the fuck's his name? The actor?
Wyatt Russell.
Wyatt Russell, thank you. He just did a phenomenal job as John Walker. Like I was because we're the geeks, we're the nerds, and we read the comics. I was genuinely scared of him on screen, like him being like the villain of it. And at the end, they do their own thing. But when he was just like tiptoeing that line, that I was genuinely scared because it's a person who does step over that line, and he still gets away with it. And it's like, fuck. That's why he did a great fucking job.
Yeah, I really dug it. So, next up, the rest of these we share. So we're starting with Marvel's number 1.
Ooh, cool.
So the Marvel's number 1 has an Alex Ross cover.
Yes.
One thing I love is how unique this group of heroes is. That we're going to be dealing with. It's going to be a nice mix. So, trying to find the creative team.
On the cover.
Oh, well, I wanted to make
titles.
sure I didn't miss anybody, but yeah. While I look for that, this takes place in a fictional Marvel country, Sin Kong, which is roughly Vietnam. I guess would be a safe way to say it. Probably some Korea thrown in there. Marvel creates places, so basically, it takes place over a long period of time and has to deal with Lady Lotus. There we go. I found it.
Yeah, I just found it too.
It's like halfway through, like a DC book. Written by Kurt Busiek. Artist is Yildiray Senar. Coloring is Richard Eisenow. Lettering by Simon Bowlen. It jumps around the Marvel Universe a bit, and I really like the bit they said it's basically a book for stories that are too big. And so I think we're going to get like really cool big crossover stories is the idea, but all in one book. But yeah, so we deal with Lady Lotus, and she's from way back in World War II. And she's one of the All-Winner Squad's enemies, and she was trying to escape from them and everything. So, and we keep cutting back, and shit keeps happening in this country. And we cut to 10 days from now, and we get a really cool scene with Captain America doing a fucking like base jump with an incredibly dangerous thing, as we'll just say that. What he did is fucking stupid and dangerous, and an incredible risk of our greatest super soldier to accomplish this.
All while reading, he's in the middle of reading The Return of the King, because it does a really good joke, because like a 10 days from now bit to set up, and it comes back later.
Yeah. So he gets in, he confronts Lady Lotus, and he sets up basically a teleporter, and he's joined by his backup, and it's not his normal backup. So I don't think we'll talk about them very much. I want people to experience that themselves.
Yeah, because I'm curious. I'm like,
there are a few that you would, expect, like Iron Man.
But the newcomers that are on, I mean, not the new ones, but the ones that are like, oh shit, they went in this kind of direction. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's great. And we get to see, basically throughout the story, we check in with Captain America, we get some Storm, we get some Thor, we get Captain Marvel and Punisher, Iron Man, Spider-Man. What were you saying?
I was saying like to this part, where the part of the park to like the now part, the 10 days ago, I guess from the 10 days from now bit, where he's in the park and he's got a book and it's the Fellowship of the Ring. Like in 10 days, he read the fucking trilogy.
Yeah, that's great. And then so we meet a new character, and we get kind of like a Marvel's feel from this character, which makes sense because that's the name of the book. But like the original Marvels.
Yeah.
His name is Kevin Schumer, and he's just a normal dude, and he runs basically a come see the heroes in New York tourism business. and we gather, because if you go look back at the group shot, he's one of the people that's teleported in. So somehow he gets pulled into all this, and we don't know how yet. And that's pretty much, I think, all I really need to give away about the plot. It's really cool. And check it out if you're interested, and just expect some surprises, because I think we're going to see a really cool array of characters. I will spoil one. Arrow, the Chinese superhero that we've been seeing a lot of, is one of the ones in that group. So I'm very excited to see her. So, yep. Anything else you want to add?
Just the vehicle that he drives for his like tourist attraction. It's just like, that's a good nod.
Yeah. We'll let you guys see that.
Totally. Pick it up.
All right. Better Ray Bill, number 2.
Oh my god.
Written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. Colored by Mike Spicer. Lettered by Joe Savino. So as we know, Better Ray Bill really wants a new hammer.
Yeah, he does.
So he's traveling off to find it himself. And he's playing ping pong against himself on the ship. We get this awesome cutaway of Scuttlebutt, his ship.
Oh, yeah.
Did you look very closely at this?
I was going through the rooms.
There's Marvel editorial.
Oh yeah. No shit.
and then in the room next to the one he starts in, there's someone drawing on a artist board.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, there's someone praying to a shrine of somebody. Now, I don't know if that's Jack Kirby, but I'm going to assume it's Jack Kirby.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but basically, yeah. So he goes through it, and he's going to meet somebody, and who is it but Scourge? I love Scourge so much.
I didn't think I was gonna like. As soon as he turned me, I was like, all right. I didn't think he was gonna steal the fucking issue, dude.
It's great. So Scourge, as you guys know him as the Executioner, you might know him if you've only seen the movies as Karl Urban from Thor Ragnarok. He shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm here to help you." And Bill's like, "I thought you died." He's like, I am dead." And he's like, "Valhalla's boring. There's no guns." And the face he makes when he says there are no guns is just amazing. So he's like, what kind of heaven doesn't have guns? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So basically, Bill's like, well, I'm on a mission, so I'll see you later. He's like, no, I'm going with you. He's like, oh, good, great. They go to the bar where we found Odin and Thor,
Yes.
and they start a bar fight. And by start a bar fight, I mean Better Ray Bill accidentally scares a woman. He apologizes, and then Scourge open hand slaps a man so hard it looks like it breaks the sound barrier.
That's my wingman you're talking about.
And then they just get in a massive brawl. Now, I saw a bit online, and I was actually going to call this out, where Daniel Warren Johnson said he snuck a few things in there.
Ooh.
And one of them is Better Ray Bill does a wrestler. His name is Kazuchika Okada in New Japan. He does this finishing move, which is it's called the Rainmaker, and it's a ripcord clothesline. So you can see it start here.
When he whips him out.
Yeah, he whips it. That's his finisher.
That's
so he whips him out, pulls him back, and clotheslines him.
I literally took that one in very slowly because it was like, wait, how does that play out? And then I was like, oh, he gets the arm out, literally dances him out, and then come get over here.
Yeah, just
that's awesome.
Google Okada New Japan Rainmaker, and you'll see a bunch of them. So, but yeah, so they win the fight, and Pip shows up, and I love Pip because I used to be a big fan of Warlock and the Infinity Watch. So, and he's really excited to see Pip too. Everybody's excited, and then Odin shows up, and he's just like, "Yeah, they let me brew my own beer in the back and stuff." And he's like, "I need a hammer." Wait, you got to show me something. Yeah,
just right? Amongst all the bloodlust, and he's like, Pip just shows up out of nowhere. It's like the Magneto face with Peeper showing up. Yeah, Pip, what's up? Pip, Gritty's my friend, and he's like holding a fucking corpse in his hands. No, Scourge literally stole the fucking issue on this one. It's awesome.
Yeah. So Odin basically says, I can't make you a hammer, but I know where you can get a weapon. You can go to Muspelheim. Was it Muspelheim?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Muspelheim. And basically get the Sword of Surtur, which will work. Well, the Sword of Surtur is powered by the dead people from Better Ray Bill's planet. So great. That's got to be fucking depressing.
Yeah.
And he has to go all through Muspelheim to do it. So they go through. And the two people decide to stay with him. There's actually a really sweet scene with Pip about being with him and stuff. And he's like, I understand what it means to not be happy with your appearance and stuff. I'm like, yeah. So they go through. Something happens, and then stepping out of the walls of Scuttlebutt is Scuttlebutt, who is now a sexy robot lady.
Yep.
So this has already exceeded my expectations.
Yo, yes.
I love this series. It's just absolutely great.
This book is just badass. This book is just awesome.
Yeah, it's great. So highly recommend. Next up, we're going to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man, Curse of the Man-Thing, which is part 2 of the Man-Thing series. The first one was Avengers, Curse of the Man-Thing.
Yes.
So now we kind of have an idea of what's going to happen here.
I can't wait for the next one.
So basically, Man-Thing's powers are attacking the world. We kind of went over it last time. I'm going to run through the creative team. Written by Steve Orlando, who continues to make amazing comics that I buy way too much. Artist Marco Fila with Minkyo Jung. Color by Guru EFX. And letter by Clayton Cowles. Okay. So the Avengers are continuing to fight this off. And we get Spider-Man, and we actually get to see... Is it called the Order of the Web? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Okay. The Order of the Web all working together, all the spider peoples working together, and defending New York from this Man-Thing, which is causing a bunch of chaos. And basically, we see different people jumping into the Man-Thing skin to try to talk to the guy who's Man-Thing. They just keep taking turns, basically, including Kirk Connors, who is the Lizard but is kind of in control.
Yeah, oh my god, so much has happened with Kirk Connors.
Yeah, we don't need to get into all that. So. But in the end, it was Peter that was able to talk to him and talk him into it. So Ted Sallis takes control of Man-Thing, and he's Man-Thing once again. And he absorbs all the bad things and everything. And you find out that basically the science of when he was trying to make the super soldier serum, I'm trying to give a very brief version.
Oh, yeah, at least this part just to make sense of why we're reviewing it.
Yeah. He had to make a, quote, deal with the devil.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what that really meant until the last issue of this book. where him and Man-Thing wrote summoning circles and summoned somebody. And who is it, Josue, but
the badass, the
Ileana
awesomeness,
Rasputin.
Ileana
Magic.
fucking Rasputin.
And she's like, speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Well, she did put expecting someone else, though.
Oh, that's true.
She did say that. So the deal was with somebody else, obviously. But I wonder if she's going to, she's going to talk him out of it. But it does say the next one is X-Men: Curse of the Man.
Yes.
So, yeah, and that's pretty exciting. I'm excited about it. I really quite enjoyed this book. So,
totally. I did like it's like swapping into like the portal of that is Man-Thing to talk to him, and it's like, oh shit, you're still a monster. I don't like you anymore. Never mind, you're not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings us to our X-Men books, guys.
Oh god, yes.
Okay, I'm going to start with X-Men Legends 3.
Cool.
I'm just happy to be able to say this for the first time in a very long time. Written by Louise Simonson. Drawn by Walter Simonson. Coloring by Laura Martin. Lettering by John Workman. I don't have to tell you guys how much the Simonsons mean to me. They're basically my grandparents. They just don't know it. So, we get to go back, as we were talking about with X-Men Legends, going back to former times of X-Men lore. And this, we go back to the time when the original 5 X-Men were X-Factor.
Mm-hmm.
And they were posing as mutant hunters, but what they would do is they'd find the young mutants and then train them.
Okay.
And no one would ever know. So that's where we got Boomer, Meltdown, Boom Boom, whatever you want to call her. That's how we got Richter. That's how we got Rusty. That's how we got Skids. That's how we got all kinds, including WizKid, who we know from Sword.
Yeah.
So, this is during...
Sorry, I was going to say, so what was the point of this book then? Because like the last two were about like making the third Summers Brothers like canon or legit. What was this one for?
I don't think this is telling us... I think this is literally just like, let's give the Simonsons another story next time.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which, I mean, fuck it, yeah, sure. So, basically, this is dealing with the point when Cable was still a baby, before he was taken, and Jean and Scott are still in love, and it's just a really fun story. And this is when X-Factor's base was Ship, which was Apocalypse's spaceship.
Yeah.
That they stole from him, basically. Or they won from him. And Ship is transforming, and we don't know why. And basically, it's kind of like a death trap. They kind of just have to survive it, basically. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, in the background, Cameron Hodge, who is a piece of shit, by the way. I hate him so much.
Yeah.
But he hates all mutants, and Apocalypse is a mutant, but Apocalypse and him work together because in the 80s that used to happen. And Apocalypse makes him a giant robot body and is like, go kill X-Factor. He's like, all right. So they do. They get out and they're able to get there, and they're able to survive Ship and everything, and then Cameron Hodge shows up, and we're going to have a big fight coming up. I loved this. I don't need to get into too many details as to why.
No, it was awesome to actually dive into a classically told tale for Marvel, and then by none other than the Simonsons. Like, this is actually just a treat for you, just as much for me as much as well for you. Obviously, yours are meant so much more for you. But it was
I was like, I don't know about that.
But it's actually just like have something of the Simonsons and like be fresh while just like doing a little chapter for somewhere before was like really cool.
And I wanted to ask you specifically, because I know you have strong opinions about both of these, but is this two of the best outfits Cyclops and Jean Grey have ever had?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, especially
I know you like the white with Cyclops. So.
Oh yeah, well, the white for sure, or like the yellow suit with like from the 90s, like for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just want him to show his face. Like, he doesn't have to cover it in the scuba suit. That's it. But in this one, at least like it has like some personality, like the giant X going down, like the shoulders down, like the legs. It's really cool. And the same thing with
his hair.
Jean.
You can see his hair, which is cool.
Yeah, that's why it's not fully covered. Especially when Booth did it in like that recent issue, where it felt classic, and like say doing that issue like that, almost like sketchy on the outline. It's really cool. It's a suit that I do enjoy this one.
It's fun to go back to before these characters became too complicated.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing.
Mhm.
So, next up, Cable number 10, written by Gary Dugan, drawn by Phil Noto, letter by Joe Sabino. So Cable knows we need to bring Old Man Cable back.
Yeah.
But no one wants him to do so.
Uh-huh.
We get to see an amazing scene with him and Emma.
My God.
Which might be my favorite scene of this series so far.
The fact that she's just constantly drinking, that she just constantly has a flask, or the fact that she just has a specific Cable flask. That if I'm going to go talk to this kid or be around this kid, I need my special flask just to tolerate him.
Yeah. I just love because she was very logical and she was very smart with everything she talked about with them.
And yeah.
She was the voice of reason. And again, it goes back to her. I know there's the joke that she's the worst teacher ever because her students keep dying. But she is a teacher at heart.
Mm-hmm.
And people always think she's like a villain or like a seductress. But in the end, she's a teacher. That's what she really is. So she basically tells him, like, basically he was going to break in and break the laws of Krakoa and knock out Professor Xavier so he could still Cerebro. And she basically talks him out of that and tells him to do it the right way. And they walk off, and then Xavier walks out and is like, hello? Like, what's going on?
Was somebody out there?
Like, yeah. We get to see Cyclops getting fitted for Hellfire Gala gear, which is great.
Jumbo.
Yeah. And then we get to see Cable and Cyclops go on a father-son trip to beat up 2 mutants from Erico.
Mm-hmm.
And they do, and it's funny. Not going to get too much into it. I love Cyclops taking out the one, like, yeah, sleep well. Like, boom. Like, this is great. So, basically, he asks Cyclops, hey, we need to bring him back. And Cyclops is like, absolutely not. Like, that's not happening. And then we cut to Old Man Cable.
Yep.
Another time, another place. And we see Old Man Cable, and he has the Light of Galador.
Uh-huh.
Now, Old Man Cable never had the Light of Galador. Only young Cable had the Light of Galador.
Yeah.
So this is Kid Cable, Old Man.
Yes, my thoughts exactly. This has to be like a swap, and it's Kid Cable, old man, Kid Cable.
He also has his whole face. So,
oh yeah,
so he's not taken over by the techno-organic virus totally and stuff. So, yeah.
Also, his one-liner in the end: "You can die quick, or you can die bad." It's more like a badass one-liner that Kid Cable's been throwing out than like the grumpy old man one-liners that Cable would do.
Oh yeah, totally. Really, really interested to see where that goes.
And the face at the end, like the last page, like it's definitely Kid Cable old man version. It doesn't look like Cable. There's a distinct, even though they're the same fucking person.
Yeah. Last book, New Mutants number 17.
Oh man, what an issue.
Written by Vita Ayala, drawn by Rod Reese, lettered by Travis Lanham. So we're continuing the New Mutant story, which is following like 4 or 5 different arcs. So we're trying to keep up with all of them at once, but it's really, really great. So we got Moonstar and Karma are in Otherworld trying to rescue a mutant who took off on his own. We got the kids that let's just say they've been experimenting with brain swaps, which they should not be.
I mean, Invaders exploit mutant powers. What a safer place than Krakoa?
Yeah, but you know. And then we also got Wolfsbane being depressed because she is.
Yeah.
So, and no one notices, and that's the sad part. So, I just really liked this. I don't want to get too much into it because we'd have to go through each story one by one, but I really, really enjoyed it. I don't like the fact that they're all forgetting about Wolfsbane.
Yeah.
That makes me sad. So
I mean, it's not like they're not like completely ignoring her either. They're like, stuff does keep popping out, but they are just like, well, let me put a pause to this one for a second because I was dealing with that too.
Yeah. And then this is also, we get to see the mutant. They find the mutant that's in the other world, and he's the first mutant that basically says, I don't necessarily want to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, fool. Like, but yeah, I get it. So yeah, they get to deal with that. That's really interesting. And NLA dealing with the fact that he's not traditionally attractive.
That one broke my heart a little bit because, like, I thought he was fine. I thought he was cool. Like reading it from starting it from where we've been reading, but the fact that he's like still been struggling with it, it's like, buddy.
Well, in our read, we haven't gotten to a part.
Oh, okay.
You might notice in his design, one of his arms is very different than the other.
Yeah.
It gets torn off.
Oh, okay.
And it regrows like that. So it's this artist is very generous with how they draw it. Some artists draw it very grotesque, and huge. So,
I see.
That's
the
part
spiky
of it.
one. No, I see what you mean. I just thought that was kind of like just him, but damn, but that's really like still like the body dysphoria would still apply to mutants. So fuck.
Yeah, everything going on with the Shadow King, it reminds me a lot of the Special Class back in the day with Beak and Angel and all them when they were like the rejected students. They were the ones that basically weren't traditionally attractive and stuff. Dummy's sentient gas, so he had to be contained inside of a suit and stuff like that. So it's kind of like these are the kids that are kind of like really unhappy with who they are. You know, and so that's why they're playing with it.
So talking really about all this and mutants reforming, are you buying into the Shadow King?
No, not at all, because he's the Shadow King.
Okay, but I mean,
you never trust the Shadow King.
But you don't talk much about Exodus when he's part of the Circle, about the Quiet Council.
I love Exodus. I've seen Exodus as a good guy in the past. Okay. I've never seen Shadow King anything less than a piece of shit.
Okay, I mean that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Also, I absolutely love that when they met Roma, immediately Karma was smitten.
Yeah.
Like, she says, "What do I do with you?" She's like, "Whatever you want, please." I was like, hell yeah, that's great. So, but yeah, I really, really, really enjoying this. We're on the march. We're almost to the Hellfire Gala.
I want that fucking pamphlet, dude. I want to see everybody in their designs. Oh god, I can't believe they didn't make it to Portland. That was just like one of the biggest what the fucks.
I bet you can find it online because it's a free giveaway. They wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm sure
they wouldn't cut down
week.
on that.
I hope it's here next week.
But yeah, it's cool. There's like tons of designs, and yeah, just it's absolutely great. I'm going to show you one more while I have you on the screen.
Yeah,
it's your boy Manifold.
Oh wow. Oh my god!
Look at the shoes.
Yeah, the shoes into the pants. The shoulders. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So
how many mutants are there in that guide?
There's like 20 something pages, and some of the pages have like 7.
Fuck yeah! Damn it! I need this. I need to see everybody.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm sure you can find it online. But yeah, I'm loving it. It's great. So. Do you have anything else to add, sir?
Yes. Finally, I'll add one last thing. I also picked up this monstrosity. It's called Monsters.
I was like, explain to our listeners.
It's called Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith. What got me the hook on this was the very juicy, gossipy pitch on this thing. So, Barry Windsor Smith was a rival for Marvel back in the 70s. He would kind of deal with like the supernatural or horror aspect, or at least like in and around horror comics as well. So I guess at one point he went to Marvel and said, "Hey, I have this pitch. It would be like this, and this is how the story would play out." Marvel said no. He's like, "No, it's just not going to work out." Basically, to which then Marvel decided to put out a certain comic that was basically the same idea. And they almost like plagiarized him, but I guess maybe there's some sort of NDAs and stuff like we weren't able to find out or exactly who. Rumors are that it was a Hulk book because it's called Monsters.
Right.
And honestly, this didn't come out until I guess like an interview in 2013, like with him. That's when he let out that bit where like there was a seed to this, and then Marvel did it kind of behind my back, and so now I've been kind of sitting on this, and he's since then been retired. To which he just came back. So this isn't like even like a reprint or something that came out from before. Like there's like a whole new tale of him coming back from retirement. Pretty much like a whole. It's 5 decades. It's 30. For 30 years, he's been trying to get this out or trying to get it published. But he's been writing for 50 years. So it's finally out, and it's just really interesting on how like why Marvel wouldn't put out this maybe potential would-be Hulk book when now like Immortal Hulk is just like one of the best things out there right now, but maybe just they didn't want to dive into that just too deep then.
And who knows what they were doing with the character at the
and
time.
that's true too.
There's a lot of things that
but
go into
there's
that.
they could just like a what if or like an alternate future or whatever. But again, because he has a big name at the time, I guess. But now it's actually out, and it's just like such a thick ass book, and it's like I'm just so curious. I was so curious off the bat. It's like I need to have it, so be on the lookout. It's through Fantagraphics, so it's like
oh yeah.
So it's like this could have gone to like any other publisher, but maybe through some NDAs, like people couldn't really touch this one. They had to go through like someone else like Fantagraphics to actually be able to put it out. And it's only $40 for such a big book. I thought it was going to be like $50-$60, especially with like the name and like the whole like backstory along with it. It's relatively cheap for such a big hardcover.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's it for my shout out.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on We Have Issues. As always, you can check us out everywhere you can find Geek Elite Media stuff, including on Twitter at Geek Elite Media, geekelitemedia.com. You can find this show at WHI Podcast on Twitter. You can find me at WHI Podcast Keith, our producer Liz at WHI Podcast Liz, Hostway at Hostway Reads Hostway, and our sister show at Jukebox Vertigo. As always, we thank you so much for joining us this week. We will see you next week for a new comic book day with a brand new stack to talk about at great length. And as always, remember to geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.